Good morning. Today is Monday, August 11th, and we're discussing two more important federal cases in our coursework this semester. Today we're going to be talking about Parducci versus Rutland, and also Virgil versus the School Board of Columbia County, Florida. The first case, the Parducci case, was rendered in 1970. And I think it's important to think about the context of when and where that case was decided in our discussion this morning. Marilyn Parducci, a first-year teacher, probationary teacher, teaching at Jefferson Davis High School in Alabama, was dismissed following an assignment of a short story to her students in 11th grade English. The short story was entitled Welcome to the Monkey House, written by Kurt Vonnegut. Kurt Vonnegut is considered one of America's great novelists, authors, and after getting complaints from parents about the story, supposedly the topic of the story involved killing off of elderly citizens and also free sex, the principal called in Miss Parducci and told her that there were complaints from the parents, and once this information made it to the superintendent, he was probably going to fire her. She decided that she would go ahead and resign, although she later considered that the resignation was under duress. So she filed suit in federal court and asked for injunctive relief. So here's another legal term. Injunctive relief. What does this really mean in terms of protecting the rights of a teacher to do her job? The defendants in the case, the principal, the assistant superintendent, the superintendent, all said, that Miss Parducci was going to be terminated for insubordination because she didn't do what she was directed to do by the principal, and that is to quit teaching the short story. The teacher said, it's academic freedom is pretty important to me, and that she was going to teach what she wanted and when she wanted, if she felt it was appropriate to the students in her class. And in this case, it was very interesting that the court really looked hard at lots of things, and one of the things the court considered was parent sensibilities. Does the opinion of a few parents really matter in terms of determining what a teacher ought to teach? The bottom line was that the plaintiff, Ms. Parducci, asked for injunctive relief, and the court agreed with her, told the board to put her back to work and reinstate her with full benefits and pay, and also pay for attorney fees. So this was quite an interesting case, particularly in the context of when it was rendered, as I mentioned earlier, a very conservative part of the country in 1970. And for the federal court to make a ruling like this sent strong waves about academic freedom throughout the teaching ranks across this country. So very interesting reading. I hope you will take a strong look at it. The details are very, very compelling in terms of the work that you do in your work as an educator. The second case in 1989, a little bit later, Virgil versus the School Board of Columbia County. So in this case, we have a parent complaint about what is being taught in a humanities course. In this case, the translation of the Greek dramatist Aristophanes in the play Lysistrata, and also the English poet Geoffrey Miller in The Miller's Tale, was considered by some parents to be too vulgar, although other parents sued the school board because the school board had taken these books and literature away from the teacher and said that teachers could not teach this. There were parents who sued in federal court saying that this removal of these pieces of literature amounted to a violation of the First Amendment. So we had the federal court, in this case, the district court said no, the school board has the responsibility to make a determination as to whether or not certain pieces of literature may consider things which might be sexually explicit and which may contain topics which are not appropriate for students even at the high school level. So when the case reached an appeals court, the appeals court affirmed the decision of the district court. So again, is this really a reversal of Parducci, or are we taking a different direction here in terms of what is meant by academic freedom? So not sure if you had an opportunity to be involved in banned books. The forum question this week involves that. I want you to think about what censorship, what this idea of banned books might mean. Have you taught one? Are you familiar with Catcher in the Rye? Have you read anything like that? I'd like to hear your thoughts about this idea of First Amendment freedoms in terms of your academic freedom as an educator. So I look forward to seeing your comments this week. Have a good one.